And good evening, everybody. Welcome back to episode 145 of New York Red Bulls Discussion Group, the podcast. I'm Garry Redmond. Greetings and salutations. Well, okay, this was pretty much of a good news, bad news weekend. Well, the good news is, there is no good news. I mean, New York is blue. I'm not afraid to say that, and we're going to basically talk about that, along with Nashville SC that we played on Wednesday, and, of course, the follow-up, of course, the Hudson River Derby, which is Advantage Blue Team, until they meet again in September. Of course, we have FC Dallas, and, of course, pretty much of a busy week. FC Dallas in Open Cup play on Wednesday. DC United on Saturday. And it doesn't get easier for these guys. And they've been playing a lot of games. Those will be now 7 games in 14 days. Ouch. That's a lot of leg time. And of course, speaking of the U.S. Open Cup, we got Michael Battistia from New York Sports Nation and the U.S. Cup website, which is thecup.us website. He's also featured there, and we're going to talk to him about the history between the two teams they'll be facing. And, of course, plus the updates and reviews, of course, the New York Gotham FC. They played on Friday. And, of course, New York Red Bull 2 matches. They played, of course, the usual Sunday at MSU Park, and they did pretty well. Now, if you happen to miss the live show that is happening right now, of course, you can catch the on-demand recordings on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe there. We appreciate you do that. X.com, formerly of Twitter, and of course our home from the very beginning, Spotify.com. Don't forget, all of our new episodes, including this one, will be uploaded the very next day for your viewing and listening pleasure. And if you happen to have any comments or questions about the podcast, our guests, or anything else, we really appreciate you emailing us. We love to hear your thoughts. RBDG, the podcast, one word, at gmail.com. RBDG, the podcast, at gmail.com. We'd like to hear your thoughts and try to make this podcast, a soccer-related podcast, one of the best out there. And this is where you can able to give us a hand with that. And last but not least, happy birthday to one of our esteemed members, Kira Keekstra. Hope you're out there celebrating yet another year on this wonderful place we call Earth with family and friends, and of course your wonderful husband, who probably right now could use a hug or two after what happened on Saturday. But in any case, go out and celebrate, girl. It's your birthday. Hope you're doing that just fine. So, Wednesday was a bummer. Saturday was worse for many of the Furious faithful. And so, to talk about it, let me bring aboard, of course, your hosts, Miguel Nunez, and, of course, the model, Lanre Badmus, looking absolutely resplendent in white. Gentlemen, I feel that there's going to be some red-hot rants coming from the both of you, from not just what happened on Wednesday, but Saturday as well. How do we get from a 6-pointer to 0 at this point? And I'm sure both of you have taken the tea leaves. Miguel, we're going to start with you. Fans did not disappoint. They came out swinging they were livid after that 2-0 loss. Go ahead, man. I know you have some searing thoughts for the team.
You know what, Garry? I don't know what to say anymore. I don't.
Especially since you've been saying it all season.
Was this like the worst performance of the season so far? You know what? I don't know, Garry. We would have been.
I distinctly, not to cut you off, but I distinctly remember what happened in New England was like right up there.
That was really bad. That was bad. Yeah. That might have been worse.
Right. And then, okay.
This wasn't exactly totally toothless, okay? But we let them have that golazo from far away, okay?
Revenge from the playoffs.
Yeah, these guys, they didn't close them down, and then a Cornell howler, okay?
Yeah, that
38-year-old Maxi Morales just sat him on his butt.
You gifted him. You gifted Maxi with
I mean, come on, man. And then we can go back and talk about it with the Wednesday game. I thought we were gonna get out of there with a draw. But it wasn't to be. So 6 points down the drain. Go ahead.
We've dominated Nashville up until that point, right, Lanre?
That was the first time they'd ever beat us.
First time they've beaten us, right? I mean, it seems like this has been the season of first for the other team. We gave New England their first win. We gave their first win somehow. We just gave Nashville their first win against us. Okay, we dropped 2 straight to our hated rivals. First DC, then NYCFC. Lanre, if you're a fan of this team, you're probably wondering, okay, at what part of my life that I did something wrong, to be on the other side of this?
Honestly, man, I'm beginning to think maybe this is a sacrifice for the Knicks to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. maybe this is a sacrifice.
And
I'm sorry, but
Dan Feuerstein's got a bone to pick with you, but we're going to talk about that part later. Well, as long as you're not out there at 7th Avenue.
Going crazy on 7th Avenue.
Okay, something. One thing about the Knicks a little bit, I'm jealous. Did you see how 7th Avenue looked before, during, and after the game in his last couple of days? It was a block.
I've only seen like 200 videos.
I mean, it was a block party personified, right? And I'm thinking, how come we can't get this with local soccer teams? I only wish they had something like this, but we don't. I mean, it just goes to show you, right, that when it's all said and done, this is a basketball and baseball town. Okay, soccer ain't there yet. That's the operative word I want to keep telling people. I mean, Sunday during brunch, got together with some friends, of course, some soccer-loving friends. One of these days, you're going to have to sit down with me and enjoy the show. We all said the same thing. I said, I asked point blank, is this really a soccer town? The answer? No, not even close. Okay. Now when you got the Yankees, cosplaying as a softball team, hitting home runs left, right, down the park. Okay, they fighting with the Mets. They won. Okay, and then you got the Knicks doing their business, at Madison Square Garden, which is something that this Knicks fan can appreciate. But I'm tapping the brakes. Why? Because we ain't there yet, partner. We ain't there yet. Speaking of not there yet, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to take this loss with NYCFC in stride, and I'll tell you why. Because on the number of games they played up until this point, right, they were gassed. You can see it. Okay? Stevie Wonder can see it. They were gassed. Am I using that as an excuse? No, absolutely not. But, Miguel, our good friend, Matthew Shanley from the, in the group posed this question: Why didn't the coach rotate his team to at least put his best starters out there, so they can actually try to win the game versus NYCFC? But I'm going to let you answer that question, if that's even, realistic with so many games that you're playing, in between.
Listen, Garry, you know what? I'm sure I'm going to piss, some of these guys off in the group, but I'm going to just
don't let that stop you.
I'm just going to say it right now, Garry. We don't have much useful depth, Garry. Okay.
No.
All right. We have a bunch of guys that are like, that's it. They're the number ones, and after that, and I wouldn't even say we have like a first 11. We have a first, whatever it is, 6, 7, and then afterwards, okay?
We got about 5 good guys, and the rest,
okay, yeah.
Well,
right.
They're just happy to be there. I mean, look,
between the guys.
I'm not taking anything away from those guys. They earned their spots in the whole 9 yards. But if you have more than one person identified as a second or third teamer on the starting lineup, that's an issue. That's not on the coach, right?
Garry, please.
So why people
Thank you
blaming
for
the coach?
backing me up there, correct?
So why people blaming the coach? Honestly, I mean, you see the group, right? People are blaming the coach. He didn't select these players. There were 2 other people that did that. They just said, "Okay, here's your guy. Enjoy." I mean,
Garry. It's the proverbial case that he's got to work with what he has. Okay.
Say that louder for the guys in the back.
He doesn't have much.
No,
okay.
Okay. No, we don't. Right. The guys that we really want to see injured. Okay. We're not going to see these guys until after League's Cup, whatever the case may be. Lewis Morgan, he's due to come back. And even then, you got to put kid gloves on this dude because you don't want him to re-injure to whatever the heck he was injured in the first place. You know, a la Dante Van Zier. Remember when they rushed him back? You know, I don't want to see a second, Gonzalo Veron when they rushed him. Remember? He rushed him back.
Yeah.
That was a disaster. They rushed him back playing on that godforsaken turf only for him to get re-injured and go and disappear for another couple of weeks. Luckily he showed up during the U.S. Open Cup semifinal, which propelled us into the final. But what would have been? I miss him. Honestly, I miss Gonzalo Veron. I miss him. He was a good dude. He just spent most of his time getting injured. And then, another thing, you keep looking at, the only thing that we have consistent right now is our injury list. That's it. Our injury list. Same guys over and over and over and over again. It's the same guys. So I have to ask the both of you before we go into into the game recap. Sorry, guys. I know you guys don't want to look at the game recap.
Please, why do we have to do it?
Yeah, why do we? Because we're contractually obligated. That's why.
Don't burn my eyes.
Can we just put on some Knicks highlights, man?
I mean, I wanted to do so. I wanted not to load it, but Mike, I got a terrific, kid who's helping me out, with the, she posted it up there. That's it. Damn, I gotta actually show this thing. I gotta take the hit because I'm a producer, and Lisa, she's a wonderful woman. I saw the guys where they were sitting at Citi Field, boys. Okay, up in the upper deck. They were facing the field front and back, but they were on the upper deck, not where they were sitting at before, because somehow they felt, City fans felt embarrassed that they got cheering louder than them, and during the playoffs, and they wanted revenge and all that. We should have sacrificed the Nashville game for the Derby and the Cup. I hear you, Lisa. I hear you. But realistically, that can't happen. Especially when you look, like Miguel said, when you look at the bench, the roster, and you go, okay, sacrifice for who? And then down the stretch, right? If you sacrifice those games and the points that you're going to need to either get into the playoffs or to, finish in the top, if you get hot, finish in the top four I would hate to say that, okay, we didn't get a home game in the playoffs because we sacrificed the Nashville game, for the Cup. That would kind of, you try to win the many games that you can with the team in front of you. And that's the minimal expectation, especially for you, Lisa, and all the other fans. Win the game. And that's basically it. Win the game. I don't care if you grab the guy off the street. Ball. That's it. Okay. And for the most part, Nick had a point. Also a bad idea to play Chupo and Email in Colorado when the game was in hand. You agree? That's the U.S. Open Cup game when they whitewashed the switchbacks. You agree?
I agree, yeah, but I can't say that it was like a massive amount of time that they were on the field,
Yeah.
Yeah, or 15 or something like that,
Yeah.
I know that it was at altitude, and maybe one of those guys or two could have got injured. So it wasn't a good idea. But I think the coach was trying to have some guys there to have
games
some
like
control
that, Miguel,
of the
this
game.
is where you put in your bench to get some, not just to get some trigger time, but to see if they're good enough to do this in competition, right? I mean, this is why you do these things.
Right.
That's why you have a bench.
But the coach must have come to the conclusion that some of these guys are not good enough, man.
Right. So what do? You go to
I don't know.
You go to your sporting director and you go to your head of sport, okay? Both of these guys say, yo, these dudes ain't cutting it. Now, give me some ballers, not bodies. Give me some ballers, okay? Or I'm sending these fools to Red Bull too. I mean, I don't need these guys. We will do without you. But I don't think it's gotten to that part. That point just yet. But let's get this one thing out the way. Let's get the match recap out the way, and then we'll talk about who's the GOAT and everything else. Here we go.
For the Red Bulls in the lineup today, but their consistency, in fact, both teams you could describe consistently inconsistent. But throw all that out, it's the Hudson River Derby. Quoting you when I say this, from earlier in the season, Mohamed Sofo is one of the greatest pressers I've seen. In is Martinez, who's in tight and goes across the face of goal. Trying to stretch that Red Bulls back line with the speed.
I mean, you asked me what do I remember. I remember a different kind of focus on that week. Early on it might be Jesse Marsh or Patrick Vieira, letting you know.
Ooh, good touch. Fernandez. He's in great spots. He's hitting the target. He's hitting the frame. NYC has hit the woodwork 9 times this season, one of the most in the league. Martinez a big part of that. He's going to crack one here! Magic from Metropolis's main man up top! Alonso Martinez, 1-0, New York City!
And NYC needs someone else to score. No, they don't. Look at how he really sizes this one up. Strikes through the ball right in that top corner. What a start in a big game with a man with a lot of pressure on him. That is an outstanding strike. Worthy of the lead in the Hudson River Derby. Pascal Janssen said it best though, as long as there's chances coming, there's nothing to worry about, and I would agree with him. You want to see your strikers getting chances. Oh, here he goes again.
Martinez in isolation around Nealis. Martinez! Save Coronel!
3 to make it happen, and this is Martinez on the other end. Great save from Coronel, getting that. He's going to miss a couple. He's going to keep getting them. Oh, good ball.
Forsberg, Choupo-Moting! Toward the side, shaved off in the shade by Freeze. Tasmanian Devils spiraling around.
Oh, beautiful.
But City still comes through. Fernandez across. Wolf! Duncan is there on the line again.
And Fernandez gets it in behind, and there's Hannes Wolf.
Stroud. Forsberg. Positive from New York. Ooh, it's hit right at Freeze from Yangor. The lead by a pair of goals. Personnel in the...
Oh, what is that?
Coronel with a major mistake. Maxi Morales. Coronel down. Morales! The iconic man in blue with another memory in this major matchup. 2-0.
Goalkeeper mistake from Carlos Coronel. Made a great save in the first half, but he's in 2 minds there and gives it straight to Martinez. Watch this composure from Morales though. Oh, sits Coronel down. on his backside. Once it comes back, brilliant stuff from the 38-year-old. Third game in a week. Still has a little bit left to put it in the back of the net. But that is a goalkeeper mistake. NYC 2-0 up and cruising.
His first of the season, usually the unflappable Coronel, who's been so big for the Red Bulls. This may be some of the questions too for Pascal Janssen. They know that their front four can be very dangerous. Well, the Red Bulls want to be dangerous on this set piece throw, but it's headed wide to the celebration, which is moments away.
You remember that.
For being in City's favor. I will, buddy.
You got me a present last
I
year.
did?
So really,
And I'll remember your age, too.
forget my age. Remember the birthday.
Bakrar. Martinez! And Alan Chapman blows the whistle. And for the third straight regular season game.
Third straight regular season loss to NYCFC. Martinez and Morales. Okay, Martinez basically scored a goal, assisted on the second one, which basically made everybody sick. It just was not meant to be. Just simply took when you have a person take two touches and you lace one from that far, defense was not playing these guys tight. And so that's basically it. Justin Hack, of course, did the pass to get the first shot. Kyle Duncan, of course, 10th defender in franchise history to his 10,000 minutes played. Who cares? Noah Ella and Nealis received their 5th yellow cards in the season. Will be suspended for New York's next MLS match versus DC United on the 24th. But they'll be available for, of course, the U.S. Open Cup. Not much to say after that. I mean, it was really a lost Saturday, but Lanre, I'm sure that you were beyond speechless after that second goal. Second goal must have made you sick, and that's something that I think we both agree upon.
Both of my favorite sports teams made me collectively very speechless within less than 24 hours of each other.
Less than 24
One,
hours.
amazing, but way better than I could have ever dreamt of. The other, just a complete, just constant disappointment, man. I mean, what the heck was that second goal? What was Coronel doing? Was he just taking a siesta? Did he just think that there was some magical fairy was going to come up? Because there were no Red Bulls around him when he made that damn pass. I don't get it. Just the complete lethargy from the entire team. They just weren't up for it. What type of motivation do you need? This is NYCFC. This is a Smurfs, bro.
I mean,
that's all the motivation you need. If you need any more motivation, you get out of my locker room. Get out of my club. Get out of my club. Simple. If you're not ready to destroy NYCFC with your bare hands, get out of my club. Immediately, get out of my club.
Miguel, I mean, there's, road games, forget if they're derbies or anything else. They got another one taking place on Saturday. My main concern, never so much as the loss, but what's been leading up to it, okay? The fact that you're having an issue. Getting any point on the road in this league is hard, okay? A lot of people just don't really understand that. It's hard, okay? But it seems that in every game, you're waiting for them, you're hoping that you don't see, and that is mistakes. This is something you and I talked about a couple of games back, right? They do well up until that eventual, I can't say the word because we want to keep it PG. The eventual mess up, and then here we go. Now, when you look at this team, right? Okay, at home, they're the third best team in the Eastern Conference with their record. Okay, at home, step outside Sports Illustrated Stadium, they are shaking hands, Miguel, Lanre, with Atlanta United at the bottom of the conference. They haven't won a game. They haven't won a single game. at some point you have to at least win one. They have an opportunity to do that on Saturday, but it's without two of at this moment your best defenders. So right now you're looking at Tim Parker and you're looking at Alexander Hack at DC United.
Oh my God, Garry!
I hate this. It doesn't get better. It really doesn't. I mean, I know right now Lisa's probably banging her wonderful head against the wall. Hopefully, her daughter is able to stop her from doing that because we don't want to get her a migraine. But we don't want her to actually do that, But it doesn't get any better from this. I mean, Miguel, what do you do? What do you do here? What do you do?
Well, let me just tell you. If you look at the standings right now, we're out of playoff contention, right? But we're only we're only out of We're only out of the playoffs by 1 point. Chicago and Charlotte are right above us with 19 points. We have 18, and then after that is NYCFC with 21, Miami with 22. So we're not out of it, okay? But we gotta start picking up points, dude. Okay, you gotta start picking up points. Not just at home. I would take point on the road, a win at home. Any club in the world would take that. Okay, if we could do that on a consistent basis, we're playoff bound. Okay, right now, I mean, it just seems to me that
seeing red. Hello.
Is that Mark Fishkin there?
Yes, it is. Hello. Good to
Mark.
See you, man. A cameo.
There you go. I gotta tell you that it's gonna be another one of those seasons, man, where we best case scenario, we just squeak into the playoffs.
Bye by me.
And then you know what? Anything can happen. Anything can happen in the playoffs. Yada yada yada. But let me tell you something. I think we had a better team last year. Even that we had forwards, like the worst forwards on one team in MLS. Okay. We have a better forward now, but then we lost a couple of key guys. We lost Tolkien. We lost Reyes. Nealis was at a better level last year. I don't know what happened to him, and management didn't upgrade, Garry. That's the thing that kills me, okay?
All right.
They didn't take those losses and upgrade. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, all right. And another one about this about this last game, like, and probably the Nashville game as well. It's a lot of errors, passing errors, just mistakes, passing it to the opposing player. Never mind Cornell's gaff. Okay. But just passing, giving it up in the midfield, man. Okay, not closing down your man as happened for the first NYCFC goal. I don't know what to say anymore, Garry. We just have to hope for the best, and then we can squeak by into the playoffs. Last game of the season, I'll take it. Okay.
Well, the schedule does get a little lighter toward the end. That's the good news. Lanre, put a bow tie on this debacle and let's move on, shall we?
Yeah. New York is still red. We beat them when it mattered most.
Defiantly.
we beat them when it mattered most. So New York is still red. However, that is an extremely disappointing result. That's as you said, there's two disappointing results against their most hated rivals already this season, with another game against DC United coming up this weekend. There needs to be some serious soul searching going on right now, because you can only use the we're like not healthy excuse so freaking much before it just begins to become, like almost like a repeatable fallacy. almost. Like, at the end of the day, the results are just not there. Like, we don't care about why. We just care about the that. Sometimes that's all that matters. And right now, they're just not there. And, Sandro is buddies with Jurgen from their time at Mainz together. He's got to go call up Jurgen and tell them, hey, like, these guys I currently have are not it. I need much, much, much stronger reinforcements. If he can't sway Jurgen Klopp, to like help him give us the resources we need to be a competitive club in MLS, then I don't know what the hell. I don't know what the hell's
He's
going to
not
happen.
involved in the day-to-day operations of any of the teams. I hate to say this, but I don't think if you're looking for anything from Klopp, stop. That's not his role. That's not what he's here for.
Oh,
I just want to let you know this is what this is what I was told. Okay.
What is the point of this club, man? What is the point?
Other than to exist, I don't know. But let's move on.
Piss all of us off and just plunge us into a deep depression.
Yeah. Well, as you say, we're not that far away from the playoffs. This is a playoff league, and all the Red Bulls have to do is get hot at the right time, and the fun starts all over again. But before we get there,
can they replicate what they did last year?
Well, we'll see.
Come on, Garry. I mean, right?
That's the only answer I can give you, boys. We'll see. I mean, my job. You know what my job is, okay? When I'm at that press box, I'm doing recon, observe, report. That's it. So the only thing I'm not allowed to do is cheer. So that's basically all it is. So we have a game on Wednesday, which is more of a do or die, right? And one man who we're going to introduce and making his debut for 2025, he basically is all over it. He is proud to be referred to as a U.S. Open Cup sicko. The man is known as Michael Battistia, and he'll be joining us very shortly in about 30 seconds. But first, final scores of Week 14 of Major League Soccer. See you on the other side. The gentleman right now sipping I don't know what he was sipping, but
that was tea. It's tea. I swear. I just got off Seeing Red and my throat hurts, so I'm pulling double here.
Seeing Red just came by and said hi. Michael Battistia, the man is referred to as a self-described U.S. Open Cup sicko and proud of it, and he's about to tell you why the whole world should be interested. But the one thing that I wanted to mention to everybody, despite the fact that you guys didn't see it, there will be a thread for that game. The match in particular will be shown the coverage on, the Cup game is set for 7:30 this evening. It's going to be on Paramount Plus, CBS Sports Network, and of course Red Bulls Radio. So you can able to catch all the fun. The Red Bulls, of course, are in the round of 16, boys and girls. They're in Sweet 16. Win here, you're going to the grade 8. Mike, tell the whole world, why should people traverse to Sports Illustrated Stadium to witness this match? And I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Miguel and Lanre. I'll come back to you in.
So the simple fact is that the Red Bulls entered this tournament last round, and they entered this 5 games away from a trophy. They did what they had to do, what everyone expected them to do, and they beat Colorado Springs on the road because geography is fun, and even though we're supposed to play locals, there weren't enough locals, so we got put in with a Western group. The soccer gods are very merciful, and they decide that the Red Bulls can host now. So Red Bulls are now 4 wins away from a trophy, 4 wins away from a CONCACAF Champions Cup spot. It's just that simple. It is a tournament where I enjoy the fact that every member of U.S. soccer and the U.S. soccer pyramid takes part. We are now at the point where 15 of the 16 teams left are Major League Soccer teams. Slightly disappointing, but overall, that's kind of what you expect. You expect the MLS teams to win, so they did their job. But for the Red Bull side, we get to laugh at the fact that the Pittsburgh Riverhounds were the sole team to advance because they beat New York City FC. So the Pittsburgh Riverhounds did what the New York Red Bulls couldn't. The overall thing, though, is that, like Sandro and others have said, that the Red Bulls are playing for 5 trophies this year. Supporter Shield, Supporter Shield, MLS Cup, Leagues Cup, Eastern Conference, E-Counted Eastern Conference, and U.S. Open Cup. This is one of them, man. So to have this game in front of us, it's an opportunity, and considering that FC Dallas is exactly in the same position as the Red Bulls right now, record-wise, it's a do or die for either team.
Yeah, Michael, you know what? You don't have to convince me regarding the U.S. Open Cup. I love the U.S. Open Cup. Past years, I just thought that the Red Bulls should have thrown everything into winning the U.S. Open Cup. They almost did. I was there at that final in 2003, okay, where everybody was ready to celebrate there at Giant Stadium, and it wasn't to be. I didn't go to that final. What was it, 2018, I think? 17, okay.
17.
That was my first year really getting into soccer. And so it's just kind of, that one has stayed with me.
Kansas City did us in, and Sporting KC, I should say. And then just like a couple of seasons ago, we should have been in the final if he would have taken care of Orlando.
I want to disagree with something you said,
the first
though.
one got destroyed.
The thing is that, like, the Red Bulls are one of the few organizations in this league that consistently do go all out for the Open Cup. Gerhard Struber, for all of his faults, for everything bad you could say about the man, and there is plenty to say about the man, you could say that every time he played the Open Cup, he put out an A team. You could say that about Troy Lesane. I can't remember what Chris Armas did. I'll be totally honest with you. Jesse Marsh is the one who lost to the Cosmos, I'm pretty sure. Actually, no, wait, no, 2013, 14. That could have been Pecky. But, that was Pecky, my bad. So it's like, at the end of the day, I always think that, at least in my time, the Red Bulls have been the ones to go all out in the Open Cup. We lost to Orlando, who went out to be the champions. That's not a bad thing in that year back in 2022. But overall, it seems like they do care as an org because they're Austrian, they're European. They think that Leagues Cup competitions are worth it. I'm sorry, National Cup competitions are worth it.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was Hans Baca. He didn't want to go out to Chicago to coach in the U.S. Open Cup. He sent Petke. The team lost. If you remember some of those reports, when they lost to the Cosmos, they went out to wherever the Cosmos were playing in Long Island, I guess,
Mitchell.
Yeah, Mitchell Field, exactly. Home of the Rough Riders used to play there. But some of our guys were like asking the coach, "Hey, listen, coach, can I take this game off?" Okay, so I don't know.
What? That was before me. I will say that.
Okay, yeah.
I'll say when Lewis Morgan has openly said to me that the game against Hartford in 2022 is one of his this is before MLS Cup, so maybe it's changed. But that was one of his favorite games he's ever played as a player, like the Open Cup, the game against Hartford, the 3-0 win over Hartford Athletic, because he said not only was it a 3-0 win, he enjoyed playing at Trinity Health. He enjoyed the smaller atmosphere. He enjoyed how close and how passionate the fans were. Said it was fun. Said that was what he loves doing. I think we've seen that multiple times. And the fans, you don't have to convince me that the fans enjoy it. The games against City Islanders, on a high school pitch where fans will just kind of just randomly walk across the field and tell the team to get back in it and then go back to their stands like nothing ever happened. It's just, those are memories people that have for the rest of their lives. But I digress. It feels as though this year the Red Bulls could do something in it because of the way it's formatted, because we're playing against a depleted FC Dallas team. And then if, say, New England loses and DC loses, and Philadelphia probably won't lose, but the East is going to be pretty barren. So we could be sort of set up as like a lone Eastern team, which would mean we could host a team that has to travel far.
Okay, and so let's get to some questions here. Nick Lianos asks, Michael, if we win, is the draw regional again?
Yes. If we win this round, the 8 remaining teams will be split into East and West. And that's going to be sort of, there'll be 2 groups, 4-4, East and West. I'll be perfectly honest. Like I said, there's a chance that the Red Bulls kind of get stuck like as the most Eastern team. But the deal is that after this round, they'll do that draw. And then after the quarterfinal, they'll do another draw for the hosting priority for the semifinals and the final.
Wow.
So is it completely randomized, basically, at that point?
Yes, it's they will try and make it geography-wise early on, but now at this point, because there's only so many teams left, it's a put your hands in a bucket and pull out a ball and see who comes out. I think it's probably going to be, if your first stadium isn't available, so like let's say Red Bull Arena wasn't available for some reason, the Red Bulls wouldn't be allowed to host, but so that might, they can't use MSU unless everyone is using their secondary venue. They try and prioritize first venues.
Oh, wow.
They started to implement that now because they got sick and tired of teams using secondary. So that's what happened.
But man, games at MSU are always so lit.
I liked MSU. I liked MSU, but then I was also the guy who it's like, man, it's kind of messed up that Seattle is playing an Open Cup semifinal at Starfire, where it's like, I make no sense at that point, but it's I think MSU is a fun time personally, and it's not like Atlanta where it's that far out. So
Yeah. I got another question for you, man. What are your top 5 matches in U.S. Open Cup history?
Number one is not even one that involves the Red Bulls. Number one is the Miami FC versus Atlanta United in the 2017 round of 16. That game is the game that got me into the Open Cup, because it was when I was working for the NASL as an intern. I had to watch that game, and I thought, this is really fun. This is kind of cool. And then former New York City FC player Poku scored a stoppage time goal against Atlanta United to advance the Miami FC with Alessandro Nesta as the head coach. That was probably the game that sunk me. And I regretted that ever since, but that was the game that got me in. If you're
Poku was a baller.
Poku was a baller. I will always have a soft spot for him. He's awesome. I'll give you that 2017 New York City FC versus New York Red Bull. It was round 4, the Hudson River Derby at Red Bull Arena. Volo scored the only goal. That was a fun one. That was the first Open Cup game I saw in person. I got to sit in the club seat. That was great. Besides that, I will go FC Motown versus AC Syracuse Pulse in the second round of 2022. That was one of the few games I've ever seen an amateur team beat a pro team. With FC Motown, who has a lot of Red Bulls DNA on it. Dilly Duca was on that team. Gideon Bob was on that team. Joe Fala.
Hawks?
Yes, exactly. Chris Lima was on the team later. But no, you just that was the only time I've ever seen an amateur team beat a pro team.
Did you say Chris Lima?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
He was on that team. And that team, I actually got to go to Rochester with the FC Motown the next round to see them play Rochester, New York FC in the third round with the former Rochester Rhinos. That was an insane game that went to penalty kicks. Probably up there for two. And number one, oof. I didn't see it in person, but I watched it. And I think it's still the funniest thing, and that is New York City FC losing to the New York Cosmos at Joe Coffey Field, 1-0 in 2015 is still probably my favorite one of all time because it is just the absolute best that New York City FC has a losing record against the New York Cosmos in the Open Cup.
It's beautiful.
Lucky, scoring that goal. It's still talked about to this day, and it's probably the reason why New York City FC fans hate the Open Cup.
Michael, another question. What would you do to make this competition relevant to casual fans? We've all, who's ever attended a U.S. Open Cup game at Montclair, it would get pretty packed. But if Rebels have to use the arena, they would be lucky to get 3,000 fans in there. Okay, so what would you do?
There's a couple things. It's on U.S. Soccer, MLS, and USL to fix this competition because U.S. Soccer has proposed changes and the Pro Council has shot them down. And that's both MLS and USL. You need some weekend games. You need to have some games on the weekends. I'm not saying every round has to be weekends. I'm saying that some do, especially the early rounds. Because when you have a midweek game between an amateur team and a lower division team, and you say, oh, wow, it's not drawing well. Yeah, no kidding. It's a midweek game against teams that don't have as big fan bases and don't have as big of a draw. And then when MLS comes in and they use their secondary venues and they don't advertise it, and then you play at Montclair State or you play at Elston Stadium or you play at Keenshaw 3-something stadium outside of Atlanta, and you tell me, and you see Don Garber saying, well, they're playing at a big empty venue. I'm like, yeah, no kidding, Don. Like, what are you talking about? Weekend games are going to be like the biggest thing. I can understand that you can't do it every time. But the end of the argument is that you need to have just more of a presence. And some of that's on U.S. Soccer overall. They need a bigger sponsorship. They need something like Budweiser. They need something like an airline to sponsor this tournament to get the money in. So the CBS deal has been great for streaming, and I think that's one thing too. Having a consistent streaming partner means that the game presence is there. But overall, it just needs to have you need to have buy-in from the fans, and that's on the teams, because I can't stand the fact when people tell me that no one wants to go to these games. I'm like, I'm sorry, you want to go see the New York Red Bulls play Toronto FC? Like that, you'll see that, but you won't go see the New York Red Bulls play like the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Like, what's the difference? What is the difference besides your mentality and the team not advertising it?
Fickle, very fickle.
All right. Well, let me cap this. Of course, they've made some changes. Of course, with the TV and everything. I think also, Michael, if I believe, unless I'm wrong, they increased the prize money. Okay,
yes, it did.
Of course, price money, so it makes it a little bit more palatable. I like to, bring it up to, a little bit north of the $1 million range for each player that would actually get, their attention. Weekend games is the right idea. I agree with it. Another thing would be to allow, would be for U.S. Soccer to step in and say, okay, you know what? I see you got a lot of games in your schedule. You too, USL. Well, guess what? We want you guys to scale it back a little bit so we can able to include those games where you take every other off weekend, at least for the first couple of rounds. Okay. Then, of course, when it gets down to say like the 16-8 and so on, you can do midweek based on your schedule. But early on, get more of the fans involved and start advertising the living heck out of these matches so people be more aware. And you're absolutely right. I mean, where Red Bulls, hosted a game over in MSU, terrific venue. It was one of the favorite games, in a very long time. And the atmosphere was tense as hell, okay, because there was so many people packed in that place. But outside the fans and the season ticket holders, nobody knew that the game was taking place. Nobody.
And the thing I'll say too is that devil's advocate, we saw what MLS tried to do with Leagues Cup, and look what happened because Liga MX complained that they couldn't prioritize their own games. What is League Cup now? It's a midweek tournament. It's only on midweek this year, and that just goes to show that people will always prioritize league, and I don't think that's the wrong move. I think that there just needs to be a balancing act between if you do it for the early rounds, because no offense, USL will move games. USL will move its games for the early rounds. The final should be on a weekend or it should be on a holiday, because what's that holiday in September, like Labor Day?
Labor Day.
You can have it on Labor Day, like something like that is open. But like to have like a round of 32 or a round of 16 game with MLS, if you want to put that midweek, I get it. But you got to advertise it, man. I think that if you have buy-in in the early rounds, it's going to affect the later rounds. That's my thought process. Because MLS, they have their own things they have to worry about. But at least for the lower division teams, for like an FC Motown or like a Des Moines Menace with Sasha Kleshchin and Bradley Ray Phillips, you put that game on a Saturday, it's going to do better.
Way better. Just naturally, people are going to be way
and
more
that's
open.
That's McCarty was playing for them.
Yeah.
I think that game.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't have a problem with that, by the way, because MLS and USL refuse to let the tournament start later, so college kids can't play. So when you have a team like Des Moines saying, we're just going to call Apple Studios and see if they want to pick up and come play, I don't think that's a bad thing, because they're playing by the rules you set.
Yeah, U.S. soccer has really need to step up as far as as far as organization of the tournament and everything. As I say it all the time, it's I don't understand why U.S. soccer would be such a wallflower of all this. It's your tournament, okay? It's not MLS, and MLS got tired of waiting around, so you know what they did? They created their own tournament, which was the League Cup with Liga MX. Is it a great tournament? Yeah. Okay, for those people, for as far as rivalry is concerned, but
it's a great tournament when it's not killing the Open Cup.
No, it's not going to kill the Open Cup at all.
I disagree. I have very strong opinions about the League's Cup.
Of course,
I don't think it's a great tournament, but this is about the Open Cup right now. So
yep.
We'll leave the League's Cup right for another day.
Okay, so once again, the game will take place this Wednesday at 7:30, folks. I mean, if you're a season ticket holder, you should be able to walk into place without much problem, because
it's going to be raining and cold.
So be it, but
no,
like every other Red Bull game.
Well, yeah. When do we ever have a nice weather home game?
Yeah, it's May. That's why it's May. That's why it's always rainy and cold. But I know.
Yeah, you're right.
Sitting at
it's 80% chance of rain.
Hey, it's a good. It's wow. That new press box is actually going to be a good thing, because we're going to be under the cover.
Oh yeah, I remember sitting those games out in the wind and everything else.
Hey Gary, you remember sitting in the bleachers of Montclair State in a shawl and looking behind us, and Andrew Visano in his warm press box is just giving us a green wave like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
I yelled them about it after that. 7:30 is the kickoff time. Coverage on Paramount Plus, CBS Sports Network, New York Red Bulls Radio, of course, presented by Sports Illustrated English by way of the New York Red Bulls app, and of course, NewYorkRedBulls.com. But before we disappear, there are some. We have some last minute in Gotham FC. Remember them? Okay. All it took was one goal, guys. Kimi Asensio. Okay, in the 30th minute. That's all she wrote. Gotham FC loses to San Diego Wave at Sports Illustrated Stadium. The loss didn't hurt these guys too much. They're now currently on 8th place. They're occupying the last playoff spot if the season ended today. And as far as Gotham FC is concerned, they're still home against the Kansas City Current, and that will take place at 1 o'clock, a Saturday game above all else. New York Red Bulls 2, they did pretty well. They won against New England Revolution 2, 4-1. 2 by Rossborough Jimenez and Berkeley. Dos Santos and forget that one person scored for me. That's an error there for New England Revolution 2. Guys, they are sitting quite comfortably in second place in the Eastern Conference, right behind Chattanooga FC with 24 points. They have 18. Above Huntsville FC. Their next game, in case you're wondering, is at home against, well, no, they're on the road. Columbus Crew 2. That'll take place at 6 o'clock on Sunday. So, with that said, we come to the almost dangerous part of our show when we make these predictions. We've had a good season up till then. Most of our predictions have been fairly good. Most of it, except for yours truly. Mine's have been dead wrong. Miguel, we're going to start off with the U.S. Open Cup and, of course, D.C. United to follow. What is your final score lines here?
We're going to win U.S. Open Cup 3-0 to the mighty Red Bulls. Okay?
Well, that's great. What about D.C.?
Yeah, and then we go down to D.C. and we lose. Okay? But we're going to progress in the U.S. Open Cup. Thank you very much.
So it's a win and a loss.
Right.
Pretty much like that. Lanre, give me something to smile about, brother. I mean, this has been a disappointing week for everybody. Tell the good people good news. What do you think?
Not for him. The Knicks progressed. Are you kidding?
First Eastern Conference final in 25 years. You're hype as hell too, Garry. Don't lie.
Of course I am, but my focus is going to be something else right now. But go ahead. What are we talking about on Wednesday night versus FC Dallas? Are we going on, or is it ending right there?
We are going on. I am quite bullish on the Red Bulls' chances in the Open Cup. I say 3-1 against FC Dallas. Now, going into what?
You guys taking 3 goals? What is this team? 3 goals?
The same team that just scored 7 against LAG.
That's the worst team in the league.
Also,
what does that matter?
FC Dallas got some ballers. One of them in particular, we're quite familiar with.
Luciano Costa, of course.
That dude. I mean, he's not afraid of, scoring. He's a guy that I would give my left arm to have him on the team, but no. FC Dallas got him. I can't believe they moved RSL, got rid of Acosta, sent him to FC Dallas. That was a shock and a half for me.
Unreal. But for
DC United?
DC United, 1-1 draw. I don't think we let DC sweep us, but I also don't think we beat them either.
Mike, you've seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games. You know these two teams are facing. They're not strangers to one another. What are you looking at? Somehow, I'm thinking extra time in this match. But go ahead, man.
Mark Fishkin told me something horrifying.
Go ahead.
That I didn't realize. The last time that FC Dallas won against the New York Red Bulls at home, like on the road in New Jersey, was 2006. Was 2006. The Red Bulls have not lost to FC Dallas in 9 games. It is the last time they won, I think, was 2018, something like that. But we have a 9-game unbeaten streak against them, which makes me horrified because I don't like that. It's too good. That being said, both teams are mid right now. FC Dallas is on the road, and I'm going to say that the Red Bulls win 1-0, just because the home field advantage, the rotating roster. I think overall the Red Bulls have a stronger team than Dallas, but the question is who rotates more, because that throws off who's the stronger team. And the Red Bulls do need to rotate. Like they are so tired. So we'll see what happens with that. But is it 1-0 win for the Red Bulls right now?
Michael, who do we get in the next round?
Depends on who wins.
No. Yeah. Who do you think is going to win on the other side? Is it a draw or is it brackets?
Well, it's a draw, and then it's a draw that turns into a slight bracket.
Okay.
But the problem is that my heart really wants Pittsburgh so bad. I really want Pittsburgh. But if you put a gun to my head, I would probably say that we're probably more likely to get Philadelphia or DC. Because Philadelphia, because I don't know if the Revolution are going to be Chicago. And if you make the groups with Philadelphia winning and DC beating Charlotte, it's us three, and then you throw in someone else, probably like Orlando or Nashville. So we'll see. But I think we'll probably, if we advance, it's going to be most likely Philly. If we go to Pittsburgh, I will be there, Gary. I will go.
True sickle.
I want to go to Highmark. I want to see Bob. I want to see Bob Lilly.
Bob Lilly. He's a master of those big team knockouts. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I've never been to Pittsburgh.
I mean,
never been to Pittsburgh.
It's a great place. I mean, that stadium is kicking. They got a great view.
It's beautiful.
For me, I'm seeing this as a 1-1 draw. 1-1 draw next going into extra time. Red Bulls going through in penalty kicks. Both teams are tired. Okay, it's going to be who wants it more. The good news is that some of the guys are going to be suspended. Ella,
not for this game.
they're not going to. They're not going to be suspended for this game. They're going to play the full 90 because they got nothing else better to do. So,
that's a good point.
So they're
is that
going to
LA and Nealis too? I think.
Right, they're going to be playing. Yeah, they're going to be playing because they got nothing else better to do because they're suspended for the DC United game. So what? So they're going to play. I think they're going to play 60. If they play 90, that'd be like, damn, guys. I mean,
and the good thing here is that if whoever wins this game, the next round isn't until July 8th or 9th. So you have a long break because it was 2 weeks or 3 weeks between rounds this time. So now you don't have to worry about Open Cup until after the Club World Cup break, because Club World Cup is July, something like that. So you come back from that.
And for DC United, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. I don't think they're going to sweep us, but I don't think we're going to win there either. Mainly because two of our best defenders are not going to be there. So I'm not completely sold on Alexander Hack, and I'm certainly not, as much as I love Tim Parker. As long as he keeps the ball in front of him, he's fine. But once those pacey, and they do have pacey forwards, I don't think he can able to handle, able to handle one of those guys. So it's going to be a 1-1 draw for them. Michael, tell the whole world where they can able to find you when it's all said and done, other than Seeing Red, the New York Soccer Roundup.
Yeah. Also real quick, I'm also doing 1-1 for DC United, and the Atlantic Cup will go to DC for the first time in I don't know how long, probably 2021, I think is when they last got it.
So that's two local trophies.
That recently?
First the Hudson River Derby trophy, and now the Atlantic Cup, which they've had in their possession for probably 6 years now.
I think COVID screwed it up because I think that DC did get it in 21 back when everything was so close by, but things like that. But no, I got them. DC probably a draw. You could find me in multiple places. So social media wise, I'm on Blue Sky at Batista. I was one of the first people on Blue Sky, so I snagged my name.
There we go.
I'm still on Twitter. I'm at Michael Battistia. I haggled someone for that one. Thank you.
Haggled someone?
I haggled someone for that.
How was that?
Because I found the dude who had it, and he had 3 names locked down. He had Mike Batista, he had Michael Batista, and he had Micro Chip. And I said,
basically, so it's true. I mean, people, run into squatters. They say, okay, I'm going to take this name, and if you want it, you have to pay me. I literally
just said to him, hey, you already have, the really good pun username, Micro Chip. Can I have one of the other ones, please? And he goes, I'll give you Michael Batista. I was like, deal, let's go.
Nice.
You can find my writing on New York Sports Nation, thecup.us, US Soccer, and Hudson River Blue.
All right. Next week, course, when it's all said and done. Nicholas Llanos and, of course, Mark Coates will be your hosts for episode 146. So, of course, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe if you catch us on our YouTube channel. New episodes, including this one, will be uploaded for your watching and viewing pleasure the very next day. Also, you can reach us on x.com and, of course, our home from the very beginning, Spotify.com. And we will love it if you give us any questions or comments, and, of course, anything with Michael Battistia. Feel free to chime in, of course, in our email address at RBDG, the podcast at gmail.com. That's it, folks. We're hoping to put this miserable weekend this week to bed, and we're looking for something better and brighter down the road. Happy birthday to Kira Keekstra. Hope you're enjoying your another year around from the family and friends. Again, for Miguel Nunez, Lanre Badmus, and of course the one and only U.S. Open Cup sicko, Michael Battistia. I'm Garry Redmond. Thank you for joining us this last hour.
Oops. Gary, let's go Knicks, okay?
Let's go Knicks.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go Knicks.
Come on.
And of course, let's go Knicks. At least that's the fun theme. So we will see you next week, ladies and gentlemen. Until then, thanks for joining us, everyone. Good night and goodbye for now.